So, hi Sagittarius, my name is Chris and this is your beautiful reading for January 2026. I keep saying this, but thank God 2025 is over, right? Thank God the last 7 years of madness is over, because 2026 is going to be the first year in a very long time. Kind of, we had 7 years of winter when you think of Game of Thrones, right? Where all the little people, the bipolars, the narcissists, the Neanderthals, all these fascist, fundamentalistic psychopaths had kind of their go, right? This is a new beginning. This is a new start. There's the Knight of Cups here. And then we get 3 cards. That's my new spread. The 8 of Swords and the 3 of Wands. So new beginning, you're not sure what to expect. You're a little, can I trust this? You know, there's a little fear here connected to this new beginning. The Fool card, the 8 of Swords and the 3 of Wands, right? But your ships are rolling in. It seems like everything is coming together. You're a little blocked while you're standing there waiting for things to happen. You did everything you can. You laid the foundation. That's a good thing. You emerge as the Hierophant. You stood your ground as the 9 of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles. So whatever happened in the last 7 years, make a list, right? Maybe you make a list what happened to you in the last 7 years. And, you know how that felt, and you know how much mind fucking was going on throughout the last 7 years. We might call it cognitive warfare. We might just call it a seismic shift in consciousness, in human evolution, whatever. The last 7 years, the little people, the narcissists, the retards, the fundamentalists, and the fascists, they had their ball. They had their big time, you know. And they tried to convince us, they tried to entrap us into lower frequencies of consciousness, because that's how they control us. Guilt, fear, shame, rage, hatred, you know? This is how people are controlled. So you're rising above this, and there's a little bit of fear, but that's, I mean, what we've been through, right? No, not, that's the only critical card here with the 8 of Swords. So whenever you're snapping into lower frequencies, where you're overthinking stuff, where you're kind of blocking yourself, oh, can I do this? And you're really trying to do something, but you're kind of afraid, and how can I do this? Am I even, good enough? Who do I think I am? Things like that. That is the antagonist in your mind. That's the mind fuck implanted into your consciousness. So use your mind wisely. You got stuff to do. There's a new beginning. Your ships are rolling in. And let's not forget this. You're emerging from the 7-year circle. Really, it was a 7-year circle full of assholes running amok, right? You didn't join the ranks of the assholes running amok. No, you emerging out of this as the Hierophant, the spiritual leader, somebody who has learned a hard lesson. 9 of Pentacles, there's a low-hanging fruit. You can harvest something. Pentacles energy, low-hanging fruit. So there is something you can do to, do something that pays your bills, right? There is something that brings wealth, abundance, and prosperity in whatever form. Just have to do the work. Low-hanging fruit, bring in the harvest. Keep doing what you're doing. But it is connected to this Hierophant consciousness and this new beginning as the Hierophant consciousness. There's the new consciousness. That's the Ace of Swords. That's the old consciousness, the 10 of Swords. You're emerging, you're emerging as the Emperor and the Hierophant, which is super strong. And there you go. There's the 4 of Swords, and the 4 of Swords is literally pretty much the opposite of the 8 of Swords. The 8 of Swords bottom of the deck, that's actually the center here with the Sun card, and bottom of the deck is the World card. Big circle is ending, new circle is beginning. That's the frequency, the main frequency here with the Sun card for January. The world is ending, the old system, the old circle, the old mindfuck years, right? The old winter years are ending. World card, Sun card, and then mastership, right? And what I was talking about is how the Eight of Swords, that's the kind of outgoing energy when things are just not have happened yet, you know, you're still waiting for your ships to come in, and maybe you're realizing, oh, I'm the ship. You know, maybe you are thinking, okay, where I'm standing here, it's pretty dark in here, you know, are there only retarded assholes around? Where's the light? Where are the good people? Where are the light-hearted people? Where are the people who shine, right? Maybe you are the light sent to a dark place, right? You're the Hierophant, you're the spiritual leader. You no longer use your mind to worry, to catastrophize, to block yourself. You use your mind in this new consciousness of mastership, like the Four of Swords. That's meditation, breath work, 1 in, 2 out. 5 seconds in, breathing in, 10 seconds breathing out. Always 1 in, twice as long out breaths, right? That's how you deal whenever things like that happen, when you overthink, when you catastrophize, when you're blocked by your own worries or fears or insecurities. They are there, and toxic people want to play you on these insecurities. They want to play you on guilt, fear, shame, insecurity, and ultimately they want to make you like them. Right? They want you to join them. You didn't do that in the last 7 years, and they really tried. So you're emerging out of this as the Hierophant, the spiritual leader. You went through the fire, you passed the test, right? And in this new beginning, you're also showing up as the Emperor, and that's what it is, right? That's what it is. The Emperor, the Hierophant, and the Sun card in the center. What can I say? It's a fantastic reading. You have to be yourself a friend. So whatever you went through, that was heavy. Whenever you're feeling down, whenever you're feeling your frequency drop, you have to lift yourself up. Breathwork, meditation, long walks, you can do sport, whatever, right? Just don't allow anybody to play you on guilt, fear, shame. That's the most important thing. You went through something. There's the Three of Cups. There's the 10 of Wands. There's the Queen of Wands. Queen of Cups, actually. So mastership of your emotions. There's the Victory March with the Hierophant. There's the Ace of Cups. That's beautiful. There's your Queen of Wands. So you get the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Cups, which is always a beautiful combination because it's fire and water, polar opposites, of course. Your emotions and your passions, but you got them in control, in mastership, Hierophant and Emperor. The Sun card, let's just do this last. There's the Magician, there's the Two of Wands, there's the King of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles. All of your wealth and abundance and prosperity that you're creating here in January is resting within your spiritual leadership, right? Your success, your self-love, you really loving yourself, respecting yourself, understanding that guilt, fear, shame, blame, projection, fighting others in the outside world, that's not going to solve any problem. That's what the little people do. But you're not one of them. And that's heavy, heavy, heavy. Okay, bottom of the deck. Bottom of the big deck is the World card. A big circle is ending. clarified by, bottom of the clarifier deck, the 5 of Pentacles. The 5 of Pentacles is feeling like an outcast, being sent out into the cold. Maybe somebody tried to sabotage your life, maybe tried to send you literally out into the cold. Maybe you were wandering around in the last 7 years, something like that. This is finally over. January 2026 is a complete different thing. World card, this old chapter is over. Underneath the World card, there is the Wounded Warrior. Yes, you took a beating. Why? Because you're a decent human being and the world was ruled by psychopaths in the last 7 years. And there's the Page of Cups, which is the offer. Page of Cups and the Knight of Cups and the Queen of Cups. So it makes just a lot of sense here, right? And the Wheel of Fortune, of course, too. So the Sun card in the center, I don't need to explain that. That's a naked little child running on a riding a white horse through a sunflower field while the sun is shining above, which is just happiness, joy, which is kind of the opposite to the dark night of the soul, right? Which you went through probably during the last 7 years, whenever it happened for you. There's healing to do, but you are becoming the wounded healer, right? All of that testing. And what is the clarifier for the Sun card? Hello, darkness, my old friend, right? And you emerge out of this. The Devil is clarifying the Sun card. Why? Because you have been going through the night, through the dark night of the soul, where you meet your shadow aspect, where you meet the antagonist, where you meet all these shady, bipolar little people who didn't make it, who can't love themselves, who can't love others, who always have to push others down. Why? Because they are not strong enough to lift themselves up. They have nothing going for them, so they have to take from other people. They're literally parasites, right? So you're not one of them, you didn't join their ranks, and here you are emerging as the spiritual leader, as somebody who has a story to tell, as somebody who has something to give through that hardship, through that hard experience, through that going through the dark night of the soul that has ended. So this combination, when the World card and the Fool shows up, that's the last of the Great Arcana, and that's the first of the Great Arcana. That's literally 0, that's the new start. And that's, let me think, that's 21, that's the last card of the Great Arcana. So full circle, you're literally coming full circle in January. And you think, at the beginning of January, you might think, okay, I did it, okay, but what's happening? Is something happening? Shouldn't it happen, right? Shouldn't my ships roll in? Shouldn't, But remember, you're waiting for the light. Maybe you're overlooking the fact that you are the light, right? You're waiting for the blessing. Maybe you are the blessing, right? So it might take a moment to realize that you are the blessing. You're the Hierophant with the 6 of Wands. You're the 9 of Pentacles with the Ace of Cups. There's mastership here on the table. There's happiness. There is the Sun card after the Knight. Sun card literally clarified by the Devil, which is a intense combination. Just like this is a very intense combination. Exactly. If you go a little deeper here with the Wounded Warrior and the Death card, right? That's heavy, heavy, heavy energies. But it's over. It's over in 2026. It's over in January 2026. Now you make something out of it. First, you heal yourself. You give yourself some credit. You're doing the best you can. You did the best you could. Maybe you did a few mistakes, but hey, you had a good intention and you did the best you could. So no need to worry, no need to be afraid. You didn't join the ranks of the little people. You didn't sell your soul to this guy, and which is actually not a guy but a girl. That's the toxic female principle, by the way. No, she didn't get her. You escaped. Why? By just being authentic, loving yourself, rediscovering self-love, healing yourself through self-love. And whenever, I say this again, you're an alchemist, right? You kind of show up as the magician because you can do stuff too, right, in the outside world. But this is an alchemist with the Hierophant, right? So whenever you are, as I said again, whenever you're in questioning yourself, can I do this? Am I good enough? You know, do I have what it takes? You know, doubt, fear, insecurities, maybe guilt, fear, shame. Guilt, fear, shame is a big one. Rage, anger, frustration. Especially if a dark night of the soul phase is ending, you have to deal a lot. You know, while you're going through the dark night of the soul, it's guilt, fear, shame most of the time, because that's how they get you, try to get you. So you endured that, but now comes probably a phase where you sometimes angry or frustrated, where you think back and you think, oh my God, that was really effed up. Why did I have to endure all that, right? Why? And sometimes anger arises like that, but you have to observe that. Be the spiritual leaders, be the emperor, be in your new consciousness where you're not swept away by your emotions or your passions, right? You got the Queen here and the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Cups here. So mastership of your emotions, mastership of your passions, not being carried away. I say it again, while you're going through the dark night of the soul, it's guilt, fear, shame most of the time. When you're coming out of it, there is a phase of anger, frustration, even hatred. So be yourself a friend, respect yourself. These emotions are just emotions, right? Don't act accordingly. Don't act on these negative emotions, but allow yourself to feel them, right? Do not negate your own emotions. Do not be ashamed of your own emotions. No, that's the old circle. That's the antagonistic bullshit, right? No, you're working with them. You're respecting your feelings, your emotions, even your passions, right? And you're just being wise enough to know that lower frequencies, guilt, fear, shame, rage, anger, frustration, even hatred, they might occur, right? They might happen. You might feel that. But it is a conscious decision of the Hierophant, of the alchemist, to alchemize these feelings, not negate them, but to transcend and integrate them, and choosing something to raise your frequency actively. You can do meditation, which is probably not a good idea if you're in rage or anger or even hatred. Maybe do some sport if you're in that emotion, right? Physical activity if you're down in rage, anger, or frustration. And if you're sad, if you're feeling disempowered, if you feel like, oh, who do I think I am? Can I do this? Isn't that way too big, you know? Then be yourself a friend and actually talk to yourself internally like you would talk to a friend, you know? Concentrate on what you can do, and when you feel like guilt, fear, shame, insecurities, Eight of Swords energies, the best way to go is to do mindfulness walking, just going for a walk really, or meditation or breathwork, you know, 1 in, 2 out. And the 2 out part is really, really important because you want to release all this negative stuff that was just dumped onto us during the last few years. And the world is still full of assholes, full of antagonistic people, full of narcissists, full of psychopaths. So keep your inner circle sacred. That's a big one here. Keep your inner circle sacred. Keep your inner circle sacred, and then the second quote comes up. Just because someone is family doesn't mean you have to tolerate lies, chaos, drama, manipulation, or disrespect. Keep your inner circle sacred. Even if it's family, you have to communicate clear boundaries, and then there needs to be a consequence if somebody oversteps these boundaries. Otherwise, you allow other people indirectly to lower your frequency or to hurt you. And the self aspect of the Emperor or the Hierophant is also not to do that, you know? Not just being altruistic and dying on the cross for someone. That's all paradigm shit. We had to go through that, but we're done now. Thank you very much. So we're not dying on the cross for anybody anymore. It's not just altruism, you know, in its extreme. Why? Because the extreme itself is destructive and dysfunctional. No, we're integrating both sides. We are having altruistic tendencies and we're having egoistic tendencies, which we call self-care, and we keep them in a balance. We're not going to the extremes, not dying on the cross for somebody. That's the extreme of the altruistic side, but also not becoming a retarded asshole like the narcissist, which is, of course, the egoistic extreme. No, we're bringing them together and we're balancing them out. That's the mastership of the Hierophant and the Emperor as well. And that's what you learned through going through the dark night of the soul, which is one-sidedness, you know? The antagonist is always trying to lure you into one-sidedness. It doesn't care what one-sidedness. This side, the other side, this label, this religion, this group of people, you know, this nationality, this, that, race, gender, whatever you want. The devil doesn't care of the form as long as you're going into the extreme with him. Don't do that. That's the wisdom of the Hierophant, of the High Priestess. Never react. If you choose to respond, then by all means respond. But if you choose to respond, the response is always deliberate. A reaction is involuntarily, so you have a trigger and then you react to it. That's perfect. That's what the devil likes. That's what the antagonist likes. That's what the narcissist like. That's how they try to play us in the last few years. Never react. If you choose to respond, you can do that. But not everybody, not everything deserves a response from you, right? That is also part of this new consciousness. Yeah, and by all means, know the difference between belief and faith. So the Hierophant is the spiritual leader. You have the Hierophant and the Emperor and the Sun card. You went through the dark night of the soul. That's big, heavy reading here. I know, but it's good because it's over and you went through it and you're emerging in 2026 in a complete different role, have learned so many lessons, right? Mostly how to deal with your own inner state of consciousness, with your own frequency, and know the difference. I'll say this again. Know the difference between belief and faith. So you can have faith in things, the universe just working out in yourself, by the way, because you're a child of this universe and you have every divine right to be here just as you are. Knowing that, believing that, trusting within it, resting within it, is a complete different category, you know, than blind faith, where you just follow the script of someone else, you know, follow a book that has written text in it, you know, that's faith. That's for the little people. But to believe, to really believe, right, means that you have experienced the divine, basically, and learned from it. So you don't need to believe in it because you have experienced it in it. So you can just trust and rest within it. Faith, on the other hand, is a set of rules. Faith is referring to, you know, a certain form, you know, a certain religion, a certain form. You have to do this, then you have to go there on Sunday, then you have to, and you have to hate these people, and you have to, you know, that's bullshit. You don't find God in a book that was written by human beings who had lust for power and were pretty stupid. That's just how it is. It's not working like that, right? So just try to believe and stand ambiguity. There are things we just don't know, you know? Stand that. The Hierophant and the Emperor can stand ambiguity. You're not making a choice, you're not judging just because you can't stand ambiguity. Samanda. Yes, no, Samanda. Number 3, and that's pretty much Jesus, right? That's, I think, the old name for Jesus. Mastery and Hierophant and Emperor. Samanda, the evolved name of Jesus, is he who has ascended into a higher dimension of awareness. To discard Samanda invites you to ascend with him into the heart of love. In doing so, you can rise above the obstacles and challenges you face. And true, the physical world will never be free of obstacles, although the physical world will never be free of obstacles. From a higher perspective, you will see they are not the inflexible solid structures you initially imagined. You think you exist in the physical world, well, but in reality the physical world exists through you. For in essence you are light and have the power to transcend physical reality and raise your awareness by connecting with the eternal light and love inside you. Through light all has come, through light all is transformed and healed. The physical world is built from particles of light. It is inspired. It is spirit closed in matter, a reflection of my eternal, immortal soul. That's belief, right? And if you experience that, then you know it. Then you don't need to believe it anymore because you have experienced it, right? And that's what the dark night of the soul is. It's a rite of ascension. It's a test, basically, where all the antagonistic, one-sided agents of the darkness pretty much testing the light. Did you get it or did you not get it? Well, you got it. You got it. And that's all I got for, let's do one animal oracle. That's cow spirit, and I love it. Cow spirit, look at that. I love it. The miracles are endless. I'm not going to read this because it's just confirmation. The miracles are endless, and the miracles start in 2026. And January is a good month, and at the beginning of January you might think, okay, so where's my new start? You know, I'm ready, but I feel a little. Where are my ships? Are they rolling in here? You know, and you feel a little, oh, is it happening? What can I do? And then you realize, okay, you're the light, you're the Hierophant, you're the Emperor, you got the new consciousness, you are the light that shines, you are literally showing up. That's a transformed and integrated consciousness. Let's just say it like that. You're shining. Why? You're shining because you went through the dark night of the soul. This is for someone, for some people. And keep your inner circle sacred and safe. Just because someone is family doesn't mean you have to tolerate lies, chaos, drama, manipulation, or disrespect. That's just how it is, and that's all I got. And if it resonates with you, just let me know. Write me a comment, let me know what you think about it. Share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and hopefully see you next time. And by the way, check out your 2026 annual yearly reading that I'm going to link somewhere around here. Now, goodbye, my friends. See you next time. Ciao.